Let's look at equations in standard form. Now we've worked with slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. This is another way of writing a rule for a line. So this is standard form. Standard form looks like this: ax plus by equals c, where a and b are coefficients for different variables and c is a constant term. So if we were to write something in standard form, it just means that we have both variables, x and y, on the same side of the equal sign. So let's just maybe go from slope-intercept to standard form so you can kind of see what would be happening. Let's say that you were given information in slope-intercept form, so you had y equals 2x plus 5. In order to get this in standard form, we would simply move the x and y variables to the same side of the equal sign. So I could just subtract 2x from both sides, and I would have a negative 2x plus y equals 5. And this then would be in standard form. Pretty basic, right? What we use standard form for is to find the x and y intercepts quite easily. So let's go ahead and move this. And let's take a look at finding the x and y intercepts. So the x-intercept is when the graph or the line physically crosses the x-axis. So that's going to happen when y is 0. The y-intercept we've talked about before, and that's what happens when x equals 0. So let's just kind of look at what I mean by that. If I had a graph, and let's say that we had something that looked like this. I know, it's a skill. Okay, so the x-intercept is where the line crosses the x-axis. So that's going to be right here, the x-intercept. So if I wanted to write the ordered pair that described that point, it would be when x is negative 4, y is 0. So you see, when y is 0, we have the x-intercept. That's where it intercepts the x-axis. So let's identify the y-intercept, which is right here. So if I were to label that point, it would be when x is 0, y is 2. So you see, the y-intercept is when x is 0, like that. Okay, so finding the x and y intercepts is another way of graphing information, and you wouldn't necessarily have to have all of the information in slope-intercept form. So let's go ahead and look at how we would find the x and y intercepts if we're given an equation in standard form. So let's say that we have this piece of information. Let's say we have 3x minus 7y equals 21. Okay, so to find the x-intercept, we're just going to let y equal 0. Because remember, the x-intercept is when y equals 0. So if we just rewrite our equation, but instead of y, leave the parentheses, and then we'll plug in a 0 for y. Remember, anything times 0 is 0, so we basically have just eliminated that term, leaving us with just 3x equals 21. So if we divide both sides by 3, we find that x equals 7. So now let's find the y-intercept by letting x equal 0. So we'll write our statement, 3x minus 7y equals 21, and we'll plug in a 0 for x. Anything times 0 is 0, so we've eliminated that term, leaving us just negative 7y equals 21. Divide both sides by the coefficient, and y equals a negative 3. Now, x equals 7 is the y-intercept. X equals 7 is the x-intercept, where y equals 0. Y equals 3 is a y-intercept, where x equals 0. But, as you can see just from me stating that, it's easy to get them confused as to which is which. So we would rather write our information as an ordered pair. So right here on our x-intercept, let's write this information as an ordered pair. So when x is 7, y is 0. So there's one intercept. And the other intercept, when x is 0, y is negative 3. This is the preferred way to write the intercepts. So let's go ahead, try another one of these, okay? All right, let's go ahead with one more example. Actually, let's maybe do one from a graph. So let's go ahead and make these colors a little bit darker so they'll be easier to see on the white. Okay, so what if we had this statement here, 4x minus y equals 4. We need to find the x and y intercepts and then graph that line using those intercepts. So, first thing, we're going to let x equal 0, and that'll give us our y-intercept. So we have 4 times 0 minus y equals 4. And remember, x is going to be 0 this go round. So we have negative y equals 4. Divide both sides by a negative, and a positive y equals a negative 4. So when x is 0, y is a negative 4. When x is 0, y is a negative 4. Now let's let y equal 0. That will give us our x-intercept. So we have 4x minus y equals 4. Ooh, out of space, out of space. Our y value is 0. cancel, so we have 4x equals 4. Divide both sides by the coefficient, and x equals 4 over 4, which is 1. So when x is 1, y is 0. So when x is 1, y is 0. Then we just connect those two points to make a line, and we're finished. Oh, moved that little guy too. Oh, can't put him back. Sorry guys.